So, Dad, you've been spending a lot of time out at hunt camp here because it's hunting season, of course, archery season up there in Colorado. Uh, do you spend time visualizing that perfect buck before you get out there, visualizing what he looks like, how many points he's got, all that kind of stuff?
No, I really don't. I mean, I, I think it's in a different sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
more the instead of visualizing the buck, it's the target placement. Because when you think about uh, an animal, God didn't paint a bullseye on the kill zone on the side of deer or elk, right? So what you have to do when you when you have that opportunity, and let me take a step back because there is a visualization. The visualization is the mind recognition of the shape. So knowing the shape of the animal to easily and quickly recognize it through the subconscious content in our head. That's one. Then two, the visualization of the all right, well, how do I take the shot? How do I pull the pull the bow back, pull the string back with the arrow on it? What area, what specific point on the body am I aiming for? What am I judging the distances off of, so I make sure that I hit where I aim. All these sort of things is what I visualize. I don't visualize the the big buck that's walking around that we haven't seen in 3 weeks, but I visualize what the actions would be. How do I move from this position to get the bow ready to
Mm-hmm.
uh, pull the arrow back to get to full draw? To what point am I putting the sight picture on the animal? That's what I visualize, so that I've already gone through those steps in my mind when it comes time to do it. Uh, and I think the big thing is, and what you're getting at in this sense, is the visualization of the outcome, the goal is the recognition of the parts and pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I do with my clients is I walk them through creating the ideal day 5 years from today. And the reason I have them do that is because that implants the vision of what those things are.
Right.
And subconscious caveman survival brain recognizes those things for us. It's
Mm-hmm.
working nonstop. It's the same thing with hunting. If you've never gone out hunting, and so you've never seen a deer or an elk or whatever it is you're hunting in the wild, then you're going to have a hard time picturing it and seeing it. But once you've seen it and you train your mind on what that looks like, your caveman mind comes back into play and automatically detects it. The predator,
Mm-hmm.
some people will call it the predator, but it's really a survival instinct, because it could just as well
Right.
be, a certain kind of flower that you can eat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or it's the same kind of mechanism as knowing what the tiger looks like, so you know when the tiger's in the bush, so you know not to be around there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So our subconscious is a powerful thing if we utilize it properly, and that's really what I think is important about this.
Yeah, and you kind of actually, I'm just going to ask this just to clarify here because I didn't get any pictures. But did you kill a big buck last time you were out there in the mountains? Did you get that monster that's around there?
Nope, nope.
So, do you think that's because when you were driving out to hunt camp, you weren't visualizing it, you weren't manifesting that buck into reality? Is it, when you saw him 3 weeks ago? Is it because you were manifesting him then and you gave up on it? What's happening there?
Well, no, that's the reality. That's the environmental conditions of the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can manifest that I'm going to get $1 million contract. We can manifest that I can picture the buck on the wall, this trophy buck hanging on the wall. You can visualize all those things all day long, but the reality is you have to deal with the conditions of it. And
Yeah.
hunting is like anything else. I can visualize, my mind is trained to see the opportunity, but I have to be in the right place at the right time to have that opportunity.
Mhm.
So that's a real a reality step that we skip over, I think, in the real world is, we need to know what we're looking for. We need to know what right looks like, whether it's the ideal day or the job or the buck or the elk or whatever. You need to know what it looks like, but it's not always going to be there just because I didn't manifest hard enough. The world doesn't work that way, right? You sit here
Yeah.
and visualize the $1 million contract all you want. And you know what? Until the actions happen to get there, it will never happen, right? Just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I mean, look at all the I've watched, I don't know, hundreds of hunting shows over the years, and they used to do, they always got their game right. In the last
Yeah.
5 years, they've done a great, the hunting TV show community has done a much better job of showing the reality of, there's a reason it's called hunting and not killing,
Mhm.
because there's probably, I don't know, we'll say 25% of these shows where they show the harsh reality of, yep, I just dropped, X $1,000, spent 5 days out in the woods and have nothing in my cooler.
It's the reality of it, right?
The
And
reality.
that makes me think of one specific, and I know they were up in Alaska, and I want to say they were hunting grizzly up there, except I'm not sure if that fits in with the rest of the memory I have, but I'm going to go through it. Oh, I remember watching this show with you, and it was one of those, wherever it was in Alaska, whatever they were hunting, it was a once in a lifetime hunt, and they're going through it. And I remember watching the guy line it up and take the shot, and then he stared, never cycled around, and the animal got away. And you're talking about visualizing success, arming your subconscious, all those different things. I love what you said about the patterns though, and like the actual actions that you're going to be taking, because you can't manifest the fact that let's just assume it was a grizzly bear. My memory's right on that. Like, you can't manifest the fact that that huge bear is going to be there. That's not coming from your subconscious. But what you were talking about of going through those patterns and the recognition of what's going on, that is something that you can prepare yourself for. And I think that's the difference there. I think what we're talking about here, and I love the way you said it, arming your subconscious. I think that's really what it is. There's some very real tools that you can use inside of your brain to find more success by visualizing, by having a vision, all those different things. Manifesting to me is kind of like just like the foo-foo dumbed down version of that, in the sense of it just makes it more fun. It's like, yeah, well, I manifested this to be, it's like, you just have the right mindset and things will come to you. And it's like, your mindset helps a lot. Having that visualization helps you so much, but it doesn't actually do the work. And I think that's where that separation is. It makes me think of, we always talk about the red truck effect on the podcast,
Mm.
that it's like, as soon as you buy that new red Dodge truck, everywhere around town, no matter where you live, you're going to be seeing that exact same truck. Ever since I had old Gray, our old Dodge Ram down here, I see her everywhere now. I never saw her here before I drove her down to Tucson, right? And you get that same kind of effect, and you can use that to your advantage. That's like when we talk about like manifesting, that's what it is. It's talking about taking that red truck effect and using it to your advantage. Reminds me of a conversation I had with my wife and some of her friends. We're talking about a boy that one of them had met. Don't worry, Dad, they're safe, they're okay. But one of them had a boy that they had met, and they're talking about, it's like, oh, he checked this box and this box and this box, but I didn't know what those boxes were before. And so I wrote it all out, and I manifested this boy to come to me. It's like, no, no, no. You didn't know what you were looking for. So when something came that was right and you didn't know what you were looking for, you didn't see it. You didn't recognize the opportunity to take it. And I think that's the difference there. It's like why you have to have that vision. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know what success looks like, you're never going to find success. And in reality, for things as complicated as finding the right partner, finding a buck out in the forest, all those type of things, if you don't have a vision for what that looks like and all those steps to make that a success, then you're never even going to see the opportunity in front of you. It's not that it's never going to come. It's going to be there, and you're not even going to freaking notice it.
Well, I've got a great story, hunting story that relates to that whole manifesting thing. It was several years ago, and I was in a blind on the ground, and I was told that a previous a guy who sat in that blind, one of my hunting partners had seen the deer off to the right in that direction over there the day before or something like that. So I plopped down and I focused. I manifested all my focus in that direction.
Hmm.
I sat there for an hour or two watching. And then all of a sudden I sensed something to my left. And I was like, what is that? Something's not right. And I turned and looked, and less than 5 yards away was a deer. And because I was so focused on this manifestation of the buck off to my right at 2 o'clock, that when the buck walked up 5 yards away at 9 o'clock from the opposite direction of where I believed I should be going and I should be focused, I didn't have the opportunity
Hmm.
because I wasn't looking, I wasn't scanning for opportunity. I was narrowly focused on a single point. And because I focused in that one spot, I missed an opportunity to harvest a buck
Yeah.
because it came from somewhere where I wasn't expecting it because I wasn't
Hmm.
I wasn't visual. I was trying to visualize it from one spot as opposed to seeing opportunities, knowing what the opportunities look like and being willing to look for them in other places.
Yeah, and I think that's such a key piece of talking about vision and manifestation, whatever you want to call it, because when you get too focused on one definition of success, you miss out on all the other definitions of success. It's important to have an idea of like what you want to work towards, but that's just like in your business having, let's say you have a product that you're launching, like I want, my goal, I'm going to manifest this. I want to sell 1 million of these widgets next year. Awesome. Good. Yeah. Work on that. But then when you get the phone call in February and they say, hey, widget A is cool, but I like widget B more, and I've got this contract for you. And you go, oh, no, no, no. That's a trap. I didn't manifest widget B. I manifested widget A. And you leave that opportunity on the table. Like that, I mean, that's just about as stupid as it could get. And that's why it's like, I think it's an important thing. And I want to throw this over to you because you can speak on it so much better than me. But the importance of having a vision, and you want to have specifics in the vision because when you have specifics, it makes it real and it makes it exciting and all of those things, but you can't get married to the specifics. You have to let it be flexible because success in life is always changing. Before I throw it over to you, I want to make the point of, I always think of this. I think I've had you listen to it though. There's a Freakonomics about like predicting the future, and they go through all of these like doomsayers and all of these stock market wizards and all of these different people who make money and make a living, make a name for themselves predicting the future. And then they go through this like statistical analysis of like how successful we are at predicting the future, and we're bad in like maybe 10%, like something terrible like that, because it's like, yeah, you get lucky sometimes, yeah, you can manifest the thing that's exactly going to happen the next day, but it's not really you manifesting, it's that thing was probably going to happen anyway, because the world is so complicated, we can't really predict the future. So if you try to force one prediction of it, you're going to set yourself up for failure because you're going to miss out on every other definition of success.
Yeah. Well, I think what it really amounts to is your strategy cannot be tied to your vision. Your
Mm.
plan must have an outcome. Your vision must have a strategy to achieve it. But you have to understand that the reality of the conditions that you walk through to get to and achieve your vision are the points of you have to be flexible on that. You can't allow those things to be so tied to the plan, which, oh, by the way, was built in ideal conditions today with the information you have today, which as soon as I finish that statement, the conditions have changed because the time has
Mm.
changed. Whether I have more information or the sun's at a different angle or now it's raining or there's a hurricane or whatever those things are. Those are all conditions that no matter how well you plan, you can't plan for them all. And you have to be able to adjust your plan, but stay focused on the vision, stay focused on the outcome. That's the critical piece. And the reason I say the details are so important is twofold. One, you backwards plan your plan, take
Mhm.
your vision and create the goals, and then from your goals you create objectives. From your objectives you create the daily tasks. That's number one. But number two is the clarity of the vision. This goes back to our subconscious, our survival mind. The subconscious is looking for the parts and pieces that give us the success of that vision. That's the power of it. That's the power of our mind if we choose to utilize it. Because otherwise, we'll never know if we get there, or we'll never get there because we've created this plan today that, based on today's knowledge and today's conditions, that will no longer be valid, no longer work tomorrow or the next day or next week because the conditions change.
Mhm. It makes me think of, in the business world of this is such a funny example because it's so like blatant, and I hope nobody's out there doing this, but it's like you have something that's technology tied, and you have this vision of success for VHS. And it's like, okay, like this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be in everyone's home, and it's going to be this and this and this. And this is what VHS is going to be in the future. And then DVD comes in, and you go, you know what? I believe in VHS, and you lock down on that instead of having the bigger picture of like, what are you really working on? Home entertainment, connecting families together, whatever other ways spins you could put on it. When you make it just the VHS and that technology changes, you're going to wind up in a really, really tough situation there. And if you're listening to this video and you have that vision, and or even if you don't have that vision and you're looking to manifest some success for yourself, and you need some help to get a vision together, to have the specificity where you need it, but then still be flexible inside of your strategies so that you can keep moving forward and recognize success and don't leave any success on the table because you don't recognize what it is, then what you should do is go to findyourpurpose.coach/vision and sign up for a vision analysis with me. What we'll do is we'll see what's working inside of your vision, what's not working inside of your vision, and we're going to help to put that together to something that, whether you want to call it manifesting or you want to call it acting on it or actually just going out there and getting shit done. We're going to give you the vision that you need to go do that. So go to findyourpurpose.coach/vision.